Hey everybody, this is TJR. It's time for another Patreon question video. And this time the question is from patron supporter Graham Rumsby. And he writes, how about a question around the future relevance of compact disc or even physical media in its broader sense for that matter? Having recently joined a streaming service, Tidal, good choice by the way, Graham, I like Tidal a lot too, I've been enjoying the ease and convenience of listening to music this way. While I have no intention to throw away my records or CDs, cassettes, and the audio components I have, record player, amplifier, wired speakers, etc., I do wonder what the future holds and will look like, sound like, in say 10 years' time. Tidal offers pretty good quality sound in their standard subscription and offer better than CD quality files for additional cost. I get the sense it's only going one way, and that's up. So I wonder if we dinosaurs will be the last fortresses of physical media, while the rest of the world streams their music, oblivious to owning the physical product. What do you think, TJR? Graham, that's a great question, and it's one that I've been pondering myself quite a bit lately. Since my childhood, I have collected one type of physical media or another. At first, when I was a kid, it was comic books, you know. Is this worth anything? Probably not. It was taking up too much room anyways. But seriously, over the years, growing up, I have bought probably hundreds, maybe even thousands of comic books. But in my lifetime, I have also sold hundreds upon hundreds and maybe even thousands of comic books. I was never too sentimental about keeping them because I always thought to myself, if I really, really want it back, I can either rebuy it or I can get it as a reprint collection, which is how exactly it goes in the comics world. Anything that's really good can be found in reprint editions. And nowadays, of course, there are lots of digital ways to read comic books. I subscribe to DC Universe. Marvel has a similar series, but I'm not as big of a Marvel Comics guy as much as I love the Marvel films. I'm more of a DC guy. And so I do subscribe to their service and read digital comics that way. Also, there are websites out there that have these massive, and I mean massive, impossibly massive, digital libraries of comics that you can read for free. These sites can't be legal, but I also find it hard to believe that all the major publishers don't know of the existence of these sites. But they're there, and the libraries they have are massive, and there are so many books. Now, the fact that they're not legal sites means that I can't rely on them always being there. But once again, if I really want something back, I think it's always easy to buy it again used or get it in a reprint collection. So I don't feel any huge need to keep comic books. My library, my personal library is very small, and it's going to get smaller because so much of it is available digitally now. And so I am in the process of making that library even smaller now. Then, as I started entering into my teens, the next kind of physical media I started buying was music. And of course, back in the 70s, that meant records. Yeah, occasionally I got an 8-track, occasionally I got a cassette, but mostly it was records because 8-tracks and cassettes didn't always come with all the cool stuff that you got with records. Sometimes you got posters, other things, stickers, booklets, things that just the tapes just didn't come with. And so, yeah, it was records. And then eventually when, technology advanced, some people will argue that it didn't, and CDs came along, well, then it was, of course, CDs, Who is this guy? And why does he have a swimsuit model on the cover of his album? Now, when VHS came along, I would tape stuff. I would tape stuff off of TV, but I rarely ever purchased actual movies. There were a few rare occasions. I remember I did buy an anniversary edition of The Wizard of Oz that came out on VHS tape. Once again, this is all before DVDs, that actually had, at the end of the tape, some bonus features. And I think that was the first time I'd ever seen that on a commercially released motion picture. It also came with a commemorative booklet. And of course, got rid of that a long time ago. And when DVD and Blu-ray did come along, at first I resisted, but eventually, slowly, I started collecting some of my favorite movies and TV shows. And now, over the last couple years, I've noticed that most of, my favorite movies, the Marvel films, big fan of them, Star Wars movies, a lot of my favorite TV shows, Star Trek, Twilight Zone, they're all available on streaming services. I can flip those on anytime. And you might say to me, well, hey, what happens if you decide you can't afford to subscribe to those streaming services anymore? Fine, I'll live without them for the time being. I can always resubscribe for a month or so if I'm really jonesing to see them again. Just because you sign up for a streaming service like Netflix or HBO Max or Disney Plus doesn't mean you have to keep continuing your subscription. You can cancel anytime, you can rejoin it anytime. Another thing that made me think, well, I should keep my physical movies is the fact that, bonus features, tons of bonus features like on this movie here. But after a while, I noticed all my purchases came with a free digital download of the movie. And nowadays, all the digital downloads contain all the bonus features. So again, I asked myself, why am I keeping these things when they're available digitally? It's infinitely easier to just pull up the digital version and watch that than to go pull this out and put it in a player. Now, I'm also a big fan of animation, big fan of animated shorts, and over the years I have collected various animation collections like the Looney Tunes. I have all of these huge, golden collections here, the black and white Popeye cartoons from the Fleischer Studios. But guess what? HBO Max. There's a huge library of these Looney Tunes shorts now on HBO Max, and these Popeye shorts are there too. Now, are all of them there? No, they're not all there, but a huge number of them are, and I'm going to guess that as time goes on, more will be added. And once again, it's infinitely easier when I'm sitting in front of the TV to just pull up these shorts on HBO Max than to pull these off the shelf and put the discs in and look for what I want to see. So again, I've seen all these. I don't know how many times I'm going to see them all again. And like I said, it's just easier to just pull them up off the streaming service, the ones that are available. And I feel pretty strongly that more will become available as time goes on. Now, I do own some obscure movies and animation collections that I can't find anywhere, not on streaming anywhere at all. So yeah, these type of things I will hold on to. Also, I do own some movies that I can find on streaming, like A Touch of Evil. This is on HBO Max. But this collection, along with bonus features that aren't on HBO Max, by the way, HBO Max, you should include your bonus features. I would appreciate it if you did. But they have physical bonus features, like this facsimile of Orson Welles' 50-page memo on the film. If you know about the history of this film, you'll know why that memo is important and why it's something to read. That type of thing, certainly I would keep. This is my copy of Yellow Submarine, which does have a lot of cool physical bonus features. It has some stickers with it. It has a physical booklet. It has these little cells here of the characters, or not real cells from the movie, but just cell reproductions. These things are really cool. And these are only available with the physical release. So I'll probably be keeping these just for the cool funness of it. Now, you'll notice I haven't discussed music yet, and there's a reason. I do stream music. I subscribe to Tidal also. And I'll be honest, I find myself streaming music more than, once again, pulling out the CD and putting it in the CD player. In spite of that, though, I don't feel the need yet, in the way that I do with other media, to start getting rid of my CD collection. I don't feel that need. These days, the only physical media that I am interacting with is vinyl records. At the same time, as much as I'm enjoying vinyl, loving vinyl, I also find myself saying, Don't collect too much of it because it's such a bulky format to move and to store. And yet it's that same physicality that I love about it. So right now I am loving vinyl, but I do acknowledge that someday that romance might end. Then again, it might not. I should also add that there are scores of young music fans out there that I encounter all the time who are falling in love with vinyl also. Now, there was this one Star Trek episode where this character is talking to Kirk, and he's an attorney, and in his residence he has tons of physical books. And he tells Kirk, I've got all these on the computer library tapes, all these books, but I prefer to have the physical book with me. And I remember when I watched Star Trek The Next Generation, Jean-Luc Picard was always reading a physical book. But in that particular era of Star Trek, they have the replicators. So they can literally have the replicator replicate a book, enjoy it, then have the replicator just, delete it or erase it. And then if they ever want it again, they can have it reconstituted, however you want to look at it, re-replicate it. So that to me would be like the perfect world as far as media, where you could say, yeah, let me have this piece of media, let me enjoy it. Okay, now take it away. Now it's not cluttering up my life. And I think that's a lot of what I'm feeling right now with a lot of the media that I own, because it's available digitally so easily. Why am I cluttering my life with this? Why am I letting this take up room in physical room in my life? And yet music still remains the exception for me. Even the CDs, I still feel the need to hold on to the CDs. Of course, that could change. There is this tendency with humanity that I've noticed, not just in my lifetime, but looking at other people's lifetimes. We have this collecting impulse to one degree or another. It isn't always media, sometimes it's other things. But we have this collecting impulse. And with so much media out there, I find that digital makes more sense to me now than having the physical media. At least more sense with everything, but once again, with the exception of the music. If it wasn't for the fact that there are so many scores of young music fans that are in love with vinyl right now, Graham, I would probably say you're right. It's all going to go by the wayside. But when I see all these young music fans embracing vinyl, I think, okay, there's still some room for physical media. I don't know if CDs will ever make a big comeback. I mean, they're still out there, but they're not what they used to be. And I collect both, by the way. I think they both have their advantages and disadvantages. But I think that there's always going to be a need for physical objects. I just think it's going to maybe change how much of it we need and what we choose to collect and not collect. And I think unique physical objects are probably going to be the thing. Certainly, a lot of these 50th anniversary sets that I've collected, like Sgt. Pepper, the White Album, more recently the CSNY Deja Vu collection. Certainly, I'm not getting rid of those anytime soon. I mean, some of us like to collect artwork and pictures, and maybe we own them for a while, but then after a while, we stop enjoying them as much, so we just let them go, and we move on to something else. I think your question is kind of on a case-by-case basis, but I think overall, I think we will see a shift to where people don't need to collect physical music, don't need to collect physical movies and TV shows, don't need to collect physical books. But there will always be those who need that physical contact with whatever media or art that they enjoy. And then there will be those special, unique specialty items that we still want to have and own. I just feel there's just an innate need to sometimes have physical contact with the art that we enjoy. Anyways, those are my thoughts on this. Graham, thank you for that question. Everybody, please tell me what you think the answer is. What is your individual answer? Where do you see everything going? Please leave a comment. As always, I want to thank everybody who clicks like, clicks subscribe, and smashes that bell notification icon. That really helps the channel. It also helps if you share these videos on your social media. And again, thank you to my patron supporters who are helping me make more videos. If you'd like to become a patron supporter, please go to patreon.com/TJRTheOriginal. Everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.